All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome back for another deep dive. We're always looking for those really powerful stories to break down. And, well, today we've got a real humdinger, I think. I mean, Dolly Parton's Jolene. Like, come on. Does it get any more iconic than that?
You really can't go wrong with Dolly, can you?
Definitely not. And she's given us so much to unpack here, musically, lyrically, just the whole vibe of the song. It's incredible.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it perfect for a deep dive. We can go so many different directions with this one.
Oh, totally. And I'm really excited to hear your take on it, with your background in analyzing narrative and character and all that good stuff.
Well, let's jump right in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So first of all, like right off the bat, this song throws us right into the middle of the action. There's no real setup, no backstory, no explanation really. It's just bam, raw emotion.
And it's so effective, right? I mean, you're instantly hooked from the very first line. Jolene, 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 I'm begging of you, please don't take my pen. Like, how can you not feel that just the desperation in her voice?
Ugh, it's
Yeah.
so powerful, right?
Yeah.
And the way Dolly's voice cracks a little on that Jolene, it's like you're right there with her in that moment of just complete and utter vulnerability.
Totally. And I think the repetition there, the four Jolenes in a row, it just emphasizes that feeling of, she's pleading, she's begging, she's not even accusing at this point, just pure desperation.
And musically too, like the way that melody builds with these Jolene, it just pulls you in.
Yeah, it's brilliant songwriting for sure. And it's also interesting how we're just dropped right into this situation. We don't know anything about the history of this relationship, the dynamics between the narrator and her man, or even who Jolene really is.
Right. It's like we're eavesdropping on a late night confession or something.
Exactly. And that lack of context just heightens the tension. It makes you immediately wonder, okay, what's going on here? Who are these people? Why is this woman so terrified of losing her man?
And speaking of Jolene,
Yeah.
I mean, the way she's described, it's like she's this almost mythical figure.
It's true. There's this larger-than-life quality to her, and I think Parton does that intentionally with those very specific descriptions, flaming locks of auburn hair, ivory skin, eyes of emerald green.
It's like she stepped out of a fairy tale or something. And I've always wondered, is that how the narrator actually sees her? Or is she projecting her own insecurities onto Jolene, making her seem even more threatening in her mind?
That's a great question, and I think it's probably a bit of both. There's this classic trope of feminine beauty that Parton is playing with here, but it also speaks to the narrator's state of mind. Instead of arguing that she herself is more beautiful or worthy of love, her plea is rooted in her dependence on this man. He's the only one for me. She says, my happiness depends on you.
So she's not even trying to compete with Jolene on a level playing field. She's admitting that she's completely reliant on this man for her happiness.
Exactly, which makes her even more vulnerable, And it raises the question, is Jolene even aware of the pain she's causing?
Right. Like we've been so focused on the narrator's perspective, but what about Jolene's side of the story?
That's one of the most fascinating things about this song. It's brilliant in its ambiguity. We get that one line, you could have your choice of men, which suggests that Jolene is aware of her power and her effect on men.
So she's not just some innocent bystander. She knows what she's got.
Exactly. But is she intentionally trying to steal the narrator's man, or is she simply unaware of the turmoil she's causing? The song leaves that open to interpretation, and I think that's part of what makes it so enduring. We can all project our own experiences and assumptions onto these characters.
That's so true. And then there's that line towards the end where the narrator says, Jolene, 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 please don't take him just because you can.
It's like she's almost regressing into this childlike helplessness, appealing to Jolene's sense of mercy and fairness.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I think it taps into this very primal fear of abandonment that so many of us can relate to, even if we haven't been in this exact situation.
Absolutely. That feeling of losing someone you love to someone who seems to have everything you don't. It's a universal experience in a way. And the vulnerability that the narrator displays, it's just so raw and honest. It's hard not to be moved by it.
It's one of those songs that no matter how many times you hear it, it just hits you right in the feels.
And I think that's why it's resonated with people for so many decades. It captures these timeless anxieties, jealousy, insecurity, the fear of losing someone we love. And it presents these complex emotions without judgment. It allows us to connect with the human experience at its core.
And maybe even recognize those same feelings within ourselves.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I think Jolene is more than just a song about a woman betrayed. It's also a song about a woman battling her own insecurities, her own sense of worth.
So it's like a double betrayal in a way, betrayed by the man and betrayed by her own self-doubt.
And it leaves us with that really thought-provoking question. Is Jolene ultimately the villain of the story, or is it the narrator's own insecurities that are doing the most damage?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's like, is Jolene just a catalyst or is she the root cause of the problem?
And I think the answer might be different for everyone depending on their own experiences and perspectives.
That's what makes it such a powerful and enduring piece of art, I think. It sparks these really important conversations about love and relationships and how we see ourselves in the world.
Absolutely. And it reminds us that sometimes the biggest battles we face are the ones within ourselves. Those voices of doubt and insecurity that can sabotage our happiness.
So maybe the real challenge isn't just recognizing the Jolenes in our lives, but also learning to quiet those inner voices that tell us we're not enough.
And maybe that's the most important lesson Jolene has to teach us.
Wow, that's deep. Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. So thanks for diving into this one with me. It's been a real pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine.
And for all you listeners out there, keep those deep thoughts flowing, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.